that the empire, the monarchy, should never strike back. What we're going to prove today is that monarchies have no advantages, no real advantages. Secondly, that they have disadvantages to a democracy, and we think that team opposition has today the burden to firstly show us that the monarchy has direct links with the democracy, and because the republic and the monarchy are the two big options, they should show us how the monarchy is better than the republic. Let's look at what really a monarch does. And we're going to look at what happened in the 80s in England and what happens today in England. We have the same queen, Queen Elizabeth, and let's see what really happened then. There was a crisis, and today they're in good shape. But the one that changed the thing was not the queen. The one that changed the thing was Margaret Thatcher. The one that changed the thing was the one that was elected by the people. The queen, the same queen, does nothing different from then. The difference is always the people that are elected. The difference are always the people that are representative. And team proposition has today three constructive points. Firstly, I'm going to talk about monarchy, an image of the past. Secondly, I'm going to talk the impact, the negative impact of a monarchy, and my colleague will furthermore develop our case talking about how republics make you more politically responsible. Now, firstly, let's look at our first argument about what is a monarchy. We say that the role of the state, firstly, is to protect its citizens. The role of the state is to simply go on. And in the moment in which a state chooses to be a democracy, it means that going on and protecting your citizens means the voice of the people. In the moment in which you choose as a state to be a democratic state, you say to the people that you have the power. You give the power to the people. And let's look at what a monarch really is. A monarch is a guy that is never elected. It's a person that is there because of his family, because of his name, because of something that happened in history. But it basically contradicts the principle of democracy of vox populi. And let's see about evolution, because we see that more and more countries become republics. We see that this is an ascending trend. And let's look at why this happens. This happens because there is evolution that happens. Evolution, countries become more and more interconnected. Interconnected on economical, on social, and other things. They're interconnected. What monarchy promotes is basic, simple nationalism. No connection with other countries. We believe that monarchies cooperate just with other monarchies. They do not cooperate with all the states. This is the bad thing because they are against interconnections. No, thank you, sir. We believe that monarchy stands against evolution, and this happened, as I stated in the example of Margaret Thatcher. England had real bad problems with being interconnected with other countries in the 80s. What Margaret Thatcher did was to take 90% of the power that the Queen had related to international relations, and what happened to England was that even if Margaret Thatcher didn't really like, she understood that personal interest has no place in a democracy, and what you should promote is the interest of the people. Do you deny it?
How could then be many monarchies, such as Belgium or the UK, parts of the EU, if they cannot promote international relations with other
Now, what we see is that the monarchs have less and less powers, and what we see is that the progress is proportional to the fact that if we have many powers, they're not interconnected. Lesser and lesser powers mean more interconnection. That's why countries like the USA are the global boss in this kind of interconnection. Now, leading to my second argument, as I've stated before, more and more republics, less and less monarchies. This means that we observe as countries that monarchies aren't that great as they were, if they were. We believe that even people learn from this. In the 60s, after the monarchy was abolished in Romania, over 90% of the people were supporting the monarchy. Now, today, even if the republic is not the best in our country, we have a lot of flaws. Over 75% of the people don't want the monarchy back. Even if the republic is not so great, what people understand is that it's better. The mediocre republic is better than the best democracy. Why this happens? It happens because, after I stated before, monarchs have nowadays only some diplomatical powers. What we say is that these kinds of powers are always extremes. They might be extremely good diplomatical things that monarchs say, or extremely bad decisions that they say. Let's look at both of them. We see that if there are good decisions, they may seem good, but in the moment in which the parliament, the people that are elected say, well, these aren't really good, they're not practically beneficial, the people say, well, the monarch said it. If you're not going to respect what our monarch said, then you're not right. And we believe that the parliament is always right, in the majority of the cases right, because they're the one elected, they're the one that really believe in mathematics, not just in personal interest. And it's for the bad decisions, we believe that they're bad because their influence is extremely negative in relations with other countries. Countries understand that in the moment in which monarchs attack other countries, the people from that country attack other countries diplomatically, and we believe that is extremely bad. Now let's look at republics. How republics really function. We believe that there are two big principles. Firstly, that republics have time limits. Like people are elected for 4 years, 2 terms. That's it. That's the moment in which you understand that they have pressure. They need to do good things if they want to stay there for another term, for some other years. And we believe that pressure is extremely important in our modern day. No, thank you, sir. We believe that it is extremely important to have pressure. We believe that in days of crisis, the fact that you really want your post, you really want your turn for the second time, makes you take extremely good or try to make good decisions. A monarch never does it because he knows that until he dies, he will be monarch and his son will also be monarch just because of the name. Secondly, let's look at the countries that are republics. We believe that the USA, France, Germany, they become better and better after they made renounce of the monarchy. The USA was never a monarchy because in their constitution, one of their first amendments told us that it is a republic because they looked at England and they understand that we do not want to be like them. We want to be better. That's why the USA had such a rapid increase because they had no obstacles. Because republics are calculus. They're representative and they're moderate. Their decisions are based on calculus. They're not based on what I want to do. That's why republics are always the ones that are representative, are the ones that are in need for being the way the people need to be. And this is my last point about republics. Because in a state should not do what the people want, as the monarchs sometimes do, but what the people need. And this is the real difference. Because if a monarch does something, it does maybe because he wants to, and this is fundamentally wrong, it's per se wrong. And secondly, it may do it because the people want him to do it. And we believe that parliaments and other forms of organization do things just because we need those things. The human rights were accepted firstly by republics, not by simple democracies, but by republics. The USA and Germany and countries like that, these were the first countries that imposed human rights treaties because they understood that people need them. At the end of the day, what have we proven you? We've proven you that republics are good. We've proven that republics have terms, that means pressure, that means calculus, that means evolution, that means good things. And we also proven you that monarchies are the image of the past. They're not what we should want because they're just nationalism and no really representativity. And because of all of this, I beg you.
Alright, take that speaker for the speech, and I'm sure Alex has an interesting response to that.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the first speaker of the side of opposition, I would like to respond to the claims made by the team government, review their arguments, and then bring in my own substantive point concerning national unity promoted by the monarchy. First, let me respond to the burden that the team government put on the side of opposition. We were told that we had to prove that monarchy has direct links with democracy. I'm not exactly sure what team government meant by this, but we of course see that monarchy is compatible with democracy because it functions in many European states such as Denmark, Norway, Sweden, which are and Great Britain. All of them are the bastions of democracy, champions of human rights in the world, and one of the most vibrant democratic systems anywhere to be seen. No, thank you. Now let me move on to no, thank you, to the first argument made by the side of opposition. They said that the role of the state is to represent the voice of the people. Yes, that's true. But the monarchs are, in fact, in those countries where they still have their power, they are supported by the people. If they were not, they would be wiped out. No, thank you. In Great Britain, monarchy still has more than 60% support among people. In Sweden, Norway, and everywhere else, you can see that people actually support monarchy, and this can be proved. No, thank you. This can be proved by the fact that they enjoy the celebrations when there are royal weddings, when new children are born into families, as we could have seen in these days in Great Britain. What joy was there when let me develop this further. What joy was there when it was announced that the new child in the royal family has 3.8 kilograms. Such an uproar for such a thing.
Celebrations happen for all public figures. This happens naturally for all figures.
Could you imagine celebrating the birth of the child of your president, for example, or of the president of the Czech Republic, our three bearded President Miloš Zeman, or any other democratically elected figure for that matter? No, we will explain this point later in our arguments, why the difference between elected representatives and monarchs is so great. We were told that monarchs are interconnectedness of the nations. Now, this, we believe, is completely out of the point, because monarchs in modern democracies that we talk about have no direct influence on international relations. Their role is largely symbolic, and no, thank you. You cannot imagine that a prime minister or an executive figure would actually negotiate really important matters with monarchs. This is not the case, and no, thank you. And even if they some monarchs negotiated, it does. Monarchies, no, thank you. Monarchies are in fact very interconnected, as we have told you in our point of information. All of the monarchies that we talk about are in European structures, and they have great international relations. No, thank you. Monarchs promote bad decisions because they are not under public pressure. That's what we are told by the side of opposition. Now let's see what greedy politicians do across all Europe. They are corrupt. They only care about being re-elected, and they don't choose any means. They don't choose good means to do that. They only care about their own good, or often it is the case. Whereas monarchs, as we can see, care about the good of the country, as we will explain in our substantive arguments. Now, what is it that is the most beneficial about monarchy? Now, we have told you in our outline that it is the sense of national cohesion, national unity that it brings to the people. but before I go
The
further,
USA is one of the most patriotic countries without being a monarchy.
yes, but we will explain what exactly is the role of the monarch in the state. True, U.S. is really patriotic, but the presidential system there has a tradition of more than more than 200 years. And this tradition is actually what is the value of monarchy. The hundreds of years, the centuries of stable rule make monarchies or people in monarchies identify themselves with one person, one family, one set of symbols, and this makes them no thank you. This makes them have certain common traits, common values that leads to benefits. For example, in times of crises, people trust each other much more. They are ready to take repercussions of financial crisis, for example. Let's just see how Great Britain responded to the financial crisis that we face today. The austerity that is promoted by the central-right government there is accepted by the people by virtue of their national identity, because they know that their nation does a lot good for them, and that they can identify with the stable monarchy. So they are able to make these sacrifices. This is not always the case in places where monarchies do not exist. Therefore, the reverence to the role of the monarch, the respect that is made throughout the centuries is essential to overcome times of crises through promoting national unity, and thus brings benefits to the nation. To conclude, I have shown you that the arguments that were presented by the side of proposition do not stand, and that the sense of national unity that monarchies promote bring further benefits, and therefore I beg you to propose.
Alright, the house next speaker would like to reach you to
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I agree with today is that the opposition teams do not fulfill their burden in any single way. Notice that three main points. The first point of my speech will be the rebuttal. The second one will be why republics are better than monarchies in democratic countries. And the third point will be my own argument. Let's start with the rebuttal. The fact that the first opposition speaker came here and told us, well, they are compatible, shows us the exact fact that they are not really good together. They may be compatible, they may work together, but they will not succeed. They will not work extremely well, and USA is the main example for that. Just by saying that monarchies are compatible with democracy basically means that they are not made for each other. They may work together, but the effects will surely be less meaningful than with a republic system. And the USA is the main example for that, because even though we agree that some monarchies may work well with democracies, we are telling you that republics work even better. And I will show you that throughout my speech. Let's see what are the things the first opposition speaker brought. Well, he said that monarchs will be wiped if people did not like him or her. Well, that is factually false, because people have no mechanism whatsoever to wipe out a monarch, and that is exactly why we do not need them and what we cannot have them, just a second, in any kind of democratic country, because it contradicts a basic principle of democracy, and that is the power of the people. Sure.
Sir, in a democratic system, people can elect politicians that support republic. Therefore, they can easily get rid of monarchy if they don't want it.
Well, that's exactly the point. People can choose their leaders, but they cannot choose the monarch, which is the image of that monarchic democratic state. And that is a very, very negative thing. Moreover, the opposition leader told us that monarchs do not really have an influence on international relations. Well, first of all, that was a statement. He didn't prove us through any single example or mechanism. And moreover, we have proven you that they have a major impact on international relations. If you want an example, well, Spain's king would be a very good example, because when he talked about the South American countries and their way of living, he made a lot of people angry. He made the international relations between the kingdoms of Spain and South American countries like Chile worsen very bad. Moreover, not only these kind of direct international relations, but these kind of monarchs promote a nationalistic message. And that very message is a step back from globalization, is a step back from interconnected countries and interconnected economies. Moreover, so basically this is why our first argument stands. This is why we've proven you this far in my speech that our first argument stands, and that when you choose to be a democracy, you have to choose to give the power to the people, because monarchs are way too influential and they are not representative. Let's go to the second argument. The answer from the opposition was that, well, leaders are corrupt and monarchs care about the country. No example, no mechanism, no argumentation on why that is true. And the fact that they did not show us any kind of proof is a very example why they are wrong on this. Because leaders have pressure to perform. We've proven you through the pressure mechanism that elected leaders need to perform well, because they can be wiped out. Monarchs cannot. Monarchs can choose what to do. Monarchs can do what people want to see. Leaders and true leaders, the leaders that we need, do what people need, not what people want. And that is the true value of democratic countries. Sure.
Yeah, but don't you think that if politicians are voted, they will strive to achieve the wants of the people, not the needs?
Well, exactly the fact that they are voted upon, they have the duty to make people live well in that country. And that is exactly what people need, to live as good as they can. In the moment in which a leader will prove that he did what people needed, he will be re-elected. So that is his goal. Monarchs do not have this kind of motivation. Let's go to the second point of my speech, and that will be why republics are better than monarchies. What the opposition team told us through the first argument is that monarchies are better because of two things: nationalistic movement and tradition. What we are telling you is that those symbols are not mutually exclusive with republics. You can have symbols as the USA, for example, and which the opposition team really agreed with us on. We can have symbols of tradition on republics. You don't need that kind of image of a monarch in order to preserve our symbols, in order to preserve and cherish our history. These things are not mutually exclusive. So the only thing that the opposition brought us, telling us why monarchies would be better, is a thing that can work just as well in a republic. We, on the other side of the table, have shown you the republics that republics have some advantages that monarchies do not. So let's go to the third point of my speech, and that is my own argument. I will prove to you this argument two things. First of all, in a republic, the representativity of people is better, and secondly, people will be more politically responsible. Let's start from some premises. What we are telling you is that in a democratic monarchy, there actually is a silent democracy because of the heavy diplomatic impact that monarchs have. They are democracies, but people do not really have any mechanism to control what the leader, what the image of the state does, and that is the monarch. They cannot do that through any kind of mechanism, no thank you. And we are telling you here that the importance of the citizens' choices in democracies are essential. It is essential to treasure those choices, and they are undermined in monarchies because citizen choices, in the moment in which there is a monarch, are undermined. In the moment in which the monarch makes a statement, the whole parliament has to be in tone with that statement because they have to coexist in a monarchy. And that is exactly why the parliament, which is elected by the people, does not really have that much of a power when the monarchy makes a statement. So we should not undermine the importance of citizens' choices. Basically, I've shown you that the representativity of the people would increase because they would be more representative because the parliament, the people elected will have true power. Moreover, I will tell you that this will make them more politically responsible. Republics make people more politically responsible because they send a message that their vote really counts, that their vote really has a power, a meaningful power, and that the monarch cannot do whatever he wants just because he has the right name. So because of all this, I think I've proven you today that monarchies are less okay in a democracy than republics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So first of all, as the second speaker, I'd like to react to what the proposition said and try to refute the arguments, and then bring my own substantial point of how monarchy can act as a role model and what kind of impact it can possibly have, on the country. So first of all, to refute the arguments of the proposition. So first of all, they said that basically monarchy is being less effective than having a normal traditional republic and democracy. Well, they pointed out that it's impossible to actually call off the monarchy. We believe this is not true. How does that work? If people are now satisfied with the monarchy they have, they can easily elect to a democratic system parties which can call a referendum if they actually want to have a monarchy or not have a monarchy, and through the means of democracy, actually abolish the monarchy itself. So therefore, there is a legitimate method for people to say, we don't want monarchy, we can abolish it. We can see on the examples of Britain, on the examples of Denmark, on the examples of Belgium, that people have not done that. Therefore, they see the benefits, no thank you, that the monarchy brings to them. Second of all, they said that it can promote bad relationships. No, thank you. Between certain countries, they pointed to the Spanish king and Chile and how it actually works. Well, we believe this is not a point or a matter of an institution, but we believe it's more of a matter of an individual. So, as an example, we can show the bad relationships between, for example, the president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, and Israel. What kind of bad blood he can actually bring to the country. Or, for example, a Czech president, Mr. Zeman, and his controversy with the Muslims. Therefore, we believe it's not a matter of monarchy as an institution, but it's a matter of individuals, not monarchy. That's a very important point there. What we also believe is that that they said that basically the choice of the citizens. And they also said that the politicians can actually, be elected and puts more pressures on them, and that the monarchs are not re-elected, therefore it doesn't put any pressure on them, and that they can do whatever they want. We believe this is not the truth. The point is that in majority of the cases, the politicians actually only care about, trying to be re-elected and trying to, and trying to exploit their positions, and that exploitation is corruption, ladies and gentlemen. And we can see that through, for example, the example of Czech Republic when there has been a widespread corruption, in the parliament, for example, because they only care about their limited mandate, which is usually 4 years, as a president, and they can actually do that there, and exploit the system. Whereas monarchs, no, thank you. They know they have a certain position and they have a certain authority, and they can look into the past and look to their predecessors and see what values they promoted. They know it's a matter of national pride. They look into history, and they see that their predecessors actually did things. Okay, thank you.
You're just assuming all kings are good and all politicians are bad.
I'm not assuming that. It's basically is a matter of bringing up the people. If you are a monarch, you were brought up in a certain way from a very early age. The certain values were promoted from the very childhood, and we believe that these values the person actually takes with himself and brings them to the office. And that's the main difference between being elected, knowing you are there for 4 years, being able to exploit, what you have, and being a long-term monarch, who actually was brought up in a certain way to promote values of the nation and do what is in the interest of the nations. Like we can see that. And this actually brings me to monarchs, being role models, and how the concept actually works. For that, we can go to history, for example, to Denmark, and during the period of the Second World War, and the situation with the Jewish people. We can see that throughout Europe there have been mass atrocities committed on Jewish people. And the example in Denmark, the Danish king actually put a Jewish star on his chest and actually supported all the people to do that, so the Nazis can distinguish between who is and who is not Jewish. And therefore, the Nazis actually did not take the Jewish people and kill them.
But you understand that in the same case, the parliament was the one that really saved the Jews, sending them to Sweden.
Okay, but we believe that the model of the king, from the point of his authority, he actually promoted this idea among the people, and he actually promoted the good values to the people. Therefore, we believe that the argument that the kings, or the queens can act as role model really, really stands.
Sure.
No, thank you. And therefore, because of that, there were many or much less Jewish people killed in comparison with other countries throughout Europe. And we believe this is actually a very, very vital point. Then again, it also, it also promotes the prestige of the nation. We can see that, and actually even economy in a certain sense, because people usually are attracted to the monarchy. They buy souvenirs.
How about China, USA, Russia, Japan, South Korea?
I haven't heard any question that what about China, Russia? No, thank you. So basically, we see that the monarch is usually something that people unite the nation with. It's something that they identify the nation with, and we believe that that's why it really is good to have that sort of symbol which can actually unite people. What is this unity good for? Well, we believe that in a situation, of economic crisis, for example, the monarch can call upon the people to understand certain decisions which might not be pleasurable, but they might be important for the country. No, thank you. For a country as a in general, or during some kind of a disaster, if something bad happens, and the monarch calls upon the people from his moral authority to do something beneficial, like during disasters, floods or problems with the environment. We can call, maybe you can contribute that certain amount of money to help. So we believe that in the form of moral power, it can actually do that. We also believe that it promotes national pride. And national pride very closely coexists with self-confidence. And we believe that if people are united, if they are proud of their monarch, if they are proud of the values he represents, and we showed in our argument that as a role model he represents the good values and he cares for the benefits of the nation. So on the premise of that, we believe that people are actually proud of their nation, and they support it and they stand behind it and they are self-confident, because this is actually very, very important concerning being a member of a nation. We believe that if you are proud of your nation, then it's very, very good for you.
Thank you very much.
The House Tax Legislature and what things to do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, what I'm going to talk about is, well, let's take a look about the main important powers in the world we live in. The countries that are the most economically influenced, the countries that are the most influenced, not only at continental level, but at a world level. And those countries are Japan, South Korea, France, Germany, all the countries that got rid of the monarchy, and the countries that live in a republic. The countries that value the people's choice, the countries that are representatives that are elected by the people, representatives that are put there to represent people's wills, and representatives who did their best and actually achieved these goals. Well, I'm going to structure my speech in 3 points. Well, first, let's see about how if the monarchy is really needed and how it actually works. The republic versus the monarchy, and also that symbolistic problem that was the only major argument that the opposition team has brought us today. Well, let's look a little bit about how a monarchy works. What I want to clarify first is the fact that the monarchs cannot be wiped out, as the opposition team kept saying throughout their speeches. And we have actually examples of that, because we saw that in Libya, where there existed monarchy, well, Libya turned out to be a communist republic, and communism was installed also in Libya and Syria. And we see actually how even though the people didn't want that to happen, they haven't got any power to impose their will, because the monarchy doesn't work the same way that the democracy works. And this is what we actually told you today, that they needed to prove us that the monarchy is not only suitable with the democracy, but also that they can succeed. And as long as we have examples that they haven't succeeded along the time, and we have examples where the people's will wasn't listened, well, we think that their burden wasn't proved until now. Also, we see that in a monarchy, well, as long as the monarchs are not supported from the people, as long as the monarchs do not receive actually the people's vote, and only by the fact that, well, the joy of people when the wedding took place was a big one, that doesn't mean that they actually like their monarchs, and that doesn't mean that they are really likable, because they have not just a second, because they don't have any alternatives. They need to like their monarchs, or actually they are forced to do it because they cannot elect another one, because the monarchs, the future monarchs is gonna be the Queen Elizabeth's son, and the next monarch, the next monarch is gonna be the kid that all the people got so joyful about his birth.
So you really honestly believe that people would, really cheer, during like the birth of a child, the next monarch, if they weren't satisfied with that, if they didn't like that?
People are interested. Thank you. People are interested in every public face's life. Okay, people are interested even when our ex-president Ceausescu got in the street and talked to them. They needed to listen to him because they haven't got any other choice. When he went to visit some cities, well, all the people were there because that was their representative, and they haven't got any other choice. So they needed to get used to it. So actually, when we tell you how this monarchy works and how it is not cannot suit anymore democracy, we actually tell you that they cannot succeed together and they cannot live together. Going to my second point, which is about, no thank you, the republic versus the actual monarchy. Well, what we tell you today is that, well, the Republicans representatives are pressed and they have time limit. If they want to be elected again, as long as they were previously, well, they need to do their best to take the state to a whole new level. They need to do their best to make sure that the people live in a good state, with good economy, with good conditions, with great education, and things like that. And this is actually, no thank you, this is actually the main difference between the republic and the monarchy. The fact that the Republicans are pressured to do their best because they are not, their function is not assured, because the people decide, no thank you, because the people decide if they are going to be there or not anymore. And this is the main difference, and we actually demonstrated that, and we told you that not only that the people's will is listened, but the people are more politically responsible. No, thank you, because as my colleague said in his speech, is that okay, people know that they can vote. People know that their decision is really important, not only for them, but for the whole country, or for the whole state. And as long as we put decisions, as long as we let them take decisions, as long as we let them take part of the decisions that are made in the state, well, we think that this is how we showed us that we treasure their decisions and we treasure their wills. And this is actually the main important difference that we have about it today. The main difference that shows you that the republic values its citizens and the monarchy is not. Also, going to my last point, and this is about the symbols and how they actually work, and actually the single argument that the opposition has brought us today. Well, let's see what they tell us. They tell us that okay, the respect is essential to combat times of crisis, and the fact that the monarchs are there as representatives, that's going to make the citizens to be more willing to respect them and more willing to be proud of their nationality. But what we tell you today is that the USA is one of the most proud countries. Actually, the people are also proud of the fact that they are Americans. In Romania, we are proud of the fact that we are Romanians. And in Germany, the Germans are proud of the fact that they are Germans. The fact that people who live in monarchies are also proud of their nationality is not a direct link of the fact that the monarchs are the ones who do that. Because only showing us an example and not a direct link of the both does not show us the fact that the monarchs are the ones to do that. But the only fact of their history or the fact that they are proud of their of the places they are coming of. Also, we also tell you that okay, maybe they can be proud of their president, of their prime minister. These things are not the symbolistic and the national pride are not linked with whom is the one who represents the state or not. This is only about the people, and the monarchs have nothing to do with that. So, as long as we told you that the monarchy doesn't work the way that the democracy should work, the fact that the republic is the only way of the only way that the people's will is listened, and the fact that the symbolism is not linked in any way with the monarchy, and this is not how it works. Well, we beg you to mention.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first part of my speech will be spent on refuting the arguments of the side of the opposition, and in the second part of my speech I will turn to our two arguments. So first, my previous speaker from the side of opposition told us about countries such as China, United States, France, and their economic, military, and generally power and influence in the world. We don't see any causality in it. We believe it is a mere correlation, and they haven't proved any causality whatsoever. Moreover, if you consider countries such as Sweden and Norway, these countries have one of the largest GDP per capita in the world. And guess what? They are monarchies. The second argument of yours, that is that monarchy is not compatible with democracy. It is, as the tradition of, for example, Great Britain has shown us, and their 300 years democracy and monarchy. You have told us that monarchs are not voted for. Therefore, no, thank you, they are undemocratic. We believe this is not the case. Yes, they are not voted for, but they enjoy widespread legitimacy. And even if they didn't, no thank you, they could be toppled. Because we're debating about democratic regimes. We're debating about countries where there are referendums, where there are countries on on the fringes of the political spectrum. On these fringes, there are republics. And if monarchs really become unpopular, if they become bad rulers, if they become bad rulers, the public will see that, and demand creates supply, and there will be more Republican parties. They will vote for, they will call for a referendum, and monarchy will be abolished.
Can you give us one single example in which a monarch was wiped away?
No, I cannot, because monarchy is so good, as we're trying to prove. In no country people wanted to get rid of monarchy, because it doesn't create any harm, and plus it gets its benefits, as we have shown. No, thank you. So, the crucial difference between presidents and monarchs, or generally, is that monarchs have no real power, and they have no real say in politics. You have exceeded that in your argument, in your example about Margaret Thatcher. You said that Thatcher held all the power. No, thank you. She held all the power, and thus the Queen had no power. So, no, thank you. So when you're saying that monarchs don't care about what people need, what people want, even if they didn't, it is not a problem, because they have no real say. But they do care about it. We've told you why. because they don't care about being revoted. They care about the pure good that is needed, not, no thank you, about temporary wants of and caprices of the public. Yes.
No, so what happens in countries like Libya or other countries in which democracies became monarchies and then they became dictatorships?
Well, but sometimes from democracies, countries become dictatorships, such as in Czechoslovakia and Romania after the Second World War. We were democracies, or at least Czechoslovakia, before the Second World War, and then there was dictatorship, Nazis, communists. It's, your point is not valid, therefore. So, to our arguments. We've told you that monarchy creates national unity, pride, which supports trust among people and self-confidence. You have tried to refute it by saying that in the USA people are pride for the country as well, for their country as well. Well, yes, that might be the case, and we need to analyze why this is the case, why the Americans are proud of their republic. It is because of the tradition, of the history, of something long-standing that has survived many wars. And now consider monarchies and republics. Usually, in vast majority of cases, monarchies, no thank you, has lasted for centuries, whereas democracies are a thing of the last century, in most cases after, no thank you, after the Second World War. So, no thank you. So, if you abolished monarchies, there would be no tradition to respect. And these countries, and people in these countries would lose pride in their country. So, no thank you. As an example of supporting national unity in the case of, in the time of crisis, is George VI in the Second World War. His speeches galvanized the British population to suffer and to go through the Blitz bombardment of London and other countries, and encourage people to help regular people build things to protect against bombardment and things like that. No, thank you. So our second argument that was mentioned by my previous speaker was about role models. As monarchies, as monarchs represent certain values, as they have tradition that backs them up, they inspire people. We have brought before you, no thank you, we have brought to you an example of the Danish king in 1940. No thank you. In 1940, he decided to wear the Jewish star even if there were the risk of being prosecuted, of being killed, of being transported. No thank you. He decided to show moral prowess, to be strong despite great danger. This, again, inspired people to take Jewish stars themselves. No thank you. And this, in turn, prevented the mass slaughter of Jews in, no thank you, in Denmark. Yes, we see that it might have been even, in part, the role of the parliament. No thank you. But parliaments are even in monarchies and even in republics. It wasn't the president who decided to send Jews to Sweden to protect them. It was the parliament. And the parliament is even in monarchy, even in republic. Therefore, this line of refutation doesn't stand. So, to conclude my speech, monarchs do not have any formal power. That's why they cannot mess up things. But even if they had power, they would not abuse it. Because they were brought up from an early age to care for the country. They do not care about being re-elected, etc. The only thing that the monarchs can affect is in a sense that informal power, the power of being role models, of promoting certain values. And this is what presidents simply cannot do. It is the tradition of monarchy that helps these two things, such as national pride and moral behavior. That's why I beg you to oppose.
I'll start that speaker. And that's the first 200
Okay, thank you. So I would like to wrap up this debate on the side opposition. So first of all, I would like to clarify who actually had the real burden in this debate. The motion is that there is no place for monarchy in a democratic country. Therefore, we believe that the side proposition has to clearly show valid points why actually the monarchy is bad for the country and actually corrupts the whole country in itself. If that's not proven, then they cannot win this debate. To the points of the debate. We heard from the side proposition that monarchs cannot be called off. That is impossible. They will rule forever and the people cannot do anything to that. We have shown the side opposition that you can do that legitimately through our democratic system when people will elect parties which are for the evolution of monarchy. What we see currently is that this is not the case, that monarchies are legitimate. Because if people felt that they don't like the monarchies, they go through this process and the monarchies will not be abolished. Therefore, acting under the precedents of history, we can see that the pros actually outweigh the cons in this. Also, there was the clash of elected versus not elected officials. What we believe is that people who are elected have a natural tendency to fulfill their own interests in what they do, because they are there for a limited time, aren't they? Therefore, they know that they will not be there forever, and they want to, or they are more prone to, actually care about their personal interests. Now look at the monarchs. The monarchs are not like that, because they know that the monarchy has a real valid tradition, that it has been there in that country of that monarchy for hundreds of years. The person who is a monarch has been brought up to be a monarch. He has been brought up to represent the values of a state. He can look back in time and see the history and see his ancestors, what they did for the country, and he actually holds the burden and bears the burden of being good for his country. People were not brought up to be presidents. People are brought up to be monarchs, and that's the main difference in being and not being elected. We also talk about Americans and how American system is great. Well, yes, it is a very good system. And they pointed to the fact that there is presidency. Yes, but the presidency has tradition. And it's not about presidency, monarchy, but truly, in this sense, it's about having a real tradition. So therefore, the Americans are that nationalistic. But if you look at other countries, or have a national pride, but if you look at other countries, this is not the case, and it doesn't work like that. So we believe that this point doesn't stand either. It's not a matter of that, it's actually a matter of long-standing tradition, and monarchy provides that long-standing tradition. If you abolish this tradition, then the things will not go in a good way. Another thing that we heard from the other side is that there's a problem with national cooperation. We have clearly pointed out the points that there is cooperation, between EU countries. There is a cooperation in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, for example. So therefore, the point that nationalism or monarchy equals no cooperation is absolutely not valid. Another thing is that what we heard that there is some kind of a trend in world, become democracies or countries with presidential system. Well, we have not really heard how is that trend good, who it helps, and how does it actually work for the benefit of the people. So we believe that the burden is firmly on the opposition to show, on the proposition to show that actually abolishing monarchy or having no monarchy, that means that it has no place in democratic society, will actually bring direct benefits to its people. We believe the side proposition has clearly not been able to do that. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Mr. Speaker. The force was with us in this match, the force of the voice of the people. That's what we march with. in this match. I'm going to ask three basic questions. What is a democracy? Secondly, how things should work in this democracy? And thirdly, what is a symbol? But before that, let's look at what our burden was today. As we've stated, republics and monarchies don't get really good along. So, in the moment in which we'll prove you that republics are good for the democracy, that's the moment in which logically the link makes us understand that monarchies are worse, are not good for democracy. Now, let's look at what a democracy is. As we've stated, it is the voice of the people. It's the moment in which the people can choose who represents them. That's the moment in which we understand what a democracy is. And the fact that the monarchs are not elected, this contradicts the basic fundamental principle of democracy. Now, furthermore, if we prove one single disadvantage, we win this match because monarchies contradict basic democracy. And one of these mechanisms is the fact that they stated you can wipe out a monarchy. Yeah, let's look at Libya, Syria, Spain. In all these cases, the monarchs became dictators and nobody could do anything. Wars were needed to solve the problems, but nobody could really do anything just because, let's make a referendum. This doesn't happen in the real world, and they did not give us examples of how this works. Now, as I stated, you might become a dictatorship if you're a monarchy. Let's look at what happens if you're a republic and you become a dictatorship, like Romania. Yeah, you go back to democracy sometimes, without a big war, just because you can go back to democracy at some point. This doesn't happen in the monarchy. And this leads me to my second point. How should a leader work? And we believe that a leader is good if he has a limited time period, because pressure exists. And because in the moment in which you are pressured and you want to be re-elected, because politicians aren't just there for 4 years, they want to be there for 8 or 12 years. That's the moment in which you understand that if you want to be re-elected, you need to do good things, to try to do the best. If you're born and raised to be a monarch, well, the single message that you understand is, well, I'll be there even if I do nothing, like in many cases, or even if I do bad things, like in other cases. Secondly, we believe that the monarchs act in extremes, sometimes good, but in the majority of the cases bad. What republicans do, they act moderate. They act how it is needed, because they look at the needs of the people. And in the moment in which you fulfill the needs of the people, you make the country go well. If you make the country go better than it was before, you make the people better. And if you make the people better, you make the democracy better. And this is a clear advantage of a republic in which moderate decisions exist. Now, as I said, let's look at examples. BRICS, USA, China, and stuff like that. These are the best countries in the world economically, and this is clearly because they're republics and things started to get better and better after they renounced the monarchy. This is the case of Germany, the case of France, the case of China. Now, the last point of this match, what is a symbol? In Romania, we have a really nice hand made of gold. We're not Romanians because we have an old hand made of gold. We're Romanians because we're Romanians. We have a feeling that we are there, not because we have some old thing that has become a symbol. Symbol is in our blood. That's the fact with Americans. That's the fact with Germany. That's the fact with all the countries that still have a patriotic feeling, even if they're not monarchies anymore, and they fail to prove us the contrary. Now, they say that the thing that monarchies really do good symbolic things, like George VI. Well, Winston Churchill really won the war. And secondly, about the guy that put a star, a Jewish star. Well, the government was the one that sent the Jewish in Sweden. They also stated that parliament exists in both sides. What we say is that parliaments do not function in monarchies so well because of the extreme things that the monarchs do. And for all these reasons, because republics are clearly better, well, we win this match.